You may need to upgrade your PC for this game, but it's got a lot of great stuff going on in it, and the fans are responding awesome.
I'm definitely a little bit, I don't know. I think it's very strange that this much better of a PC is not doing, you know, considerably better like you would think it would at 1080p. Hello again, space adventurers. We're back for more Starfield testing, and today we're gunning for the actual recommended specifications to be able to play this game put out by Bethesda. In our previous video, we tested the minimum requirements and concluded that while you can play the game above 30 FPS on high settings at 1080p, it's really not the smoothest or best looking gaming experience, to say the least. So today we have a new system configuration, and since last time we went all Team Red, I decided to change things up a little bit and go with a Team Blue and Team Green combination for our new testing system. But first, a word from today's sponsor.
With VIP-URCDKEY, you can install and activate Windows for only 16 bucks.
Hey, that's pretty good.
It's fast, easy, and 100% legit. You can now enter my new promo code for 2023, RAV25, which will now save you 25% on your purchase. So get rid of that Windows activation watermark and get your system activated today. It also works for Windows 11 as well. Check the links in the description.
All right, I have to again start off with a small disclaimer that I am not here to bash on Starfield. I just want to inform you gamers on what you can expect from different hardware configurations so you can make an informed decision on what you want to play this game on, if it is that you want to play this game. I mean, you're here watching this video, so I think maybe you want to, but anyway, what are the recommended specs for Starfield? Well, I'm glad you asked. Again, just like last time, you'll need a 64-bit Windows 10 or 11 system, and again, make sure it's fully up to date for the best experience. For the CPU this time, we're bumping it up to at least an Intel Core i5-10600K or an AMD Ryzen 5 3600X. Now, I don't actually have either of those chips on hand, but what I do have is something very similar in the Intel Core i5-12400f. This is a hugely popular gaming CPU, and it is something I see a lot of you gamers grabbing for a system anyway, since it's much newer than the 10600K, and it has much more performance for your money, and also sports 6 cores and 12 threads, just like the 10600K does. Now for RAM, again, Starfield requires 16 gigabytes or more, which is the standard these days, and we have 16 gigabytes of ADATA XPG running at 3600 megahertz, which should be great for this system. And for the GPU, like I said, we went with Team Red last time, but this time I decided to bring an old friend off the shelf in my RTX 2080. Now, I'm well aware of the uproar regarding the fact that they did not put DLSS natively in this game, so you'd think that using an NVIDIA card might be somewhat of a, hindrance or a bad choice. Well, thankfully, the modding community has already solved this problem for us, and you can easily download a mod that puts DLSS right into the game in place of FSR, and we'll be testing DLSS on and off to see what improvements in FPS we can get, and also to see if the visual quality in it is better compared to FSR, which was honestly an unusable, smudgy mess in our last test. And last but not least, the storage. This is a game where an SSD is extremely important, so make sure that you've got a solid state drive with plenty of free storage, as Starfield is a massive game taking up almost 100 gigs of space. So to improve loading times, I personally would suggest loading the game onto an NVMe SSD, which can be had for pretty dang cheap now, but a SATA SSD will still work if you have one laying around, and today I will actually be using the same SATA SSD that we used in our previous video, just to show you that they work just fine, but only your loading times may just be a little bit longer in certain areas. Okay everybody, so now we are on our test system right here. We got our i5-12400f and our RTX 2080 system right here. Everything's running smoothly, looking good, and ready to play Starfield. So quick note before we get started about DLSS. So you guys may have seen that the one I installed here is the Starfield FSR bridge, replacing FSR2 with DLSS or XESS. The reason I went with this one, and there actually is two. If you type in DLSS in Starfield, there's actually another one that actually has replacing FSR2 with DLSS-G. Now, they're by the same mod author, and this is the one you're going to want to use if you do have a 40 series NVIDIA card, so you can actually take advantage of frame generation. So definitely use that one if you have a 40 series card, but if you have a 30 series or 20 series like I do, just use the one that I use in this video. Now, let's hop into Starfield and see what we get. Okay everybody, so we're in Starfield right now, and we're in the exact same city, Aquila City, that we were in the first video, and we're looking in the exact same spot that we started with the first video as well. So as you guys can see, I'm a little confused already because, I mean, look at this. We have the settings we're running right now. We are running 1920 by 1080 at high settings right here, which I would think with this much stronger of a computer should be just fine. But here is the problem that I'm noticing right here. Even just looking right here, we're only getting 36 FPS, 37. The 2080 is completely maxed out. It's trying and using everything it can. And the 12400F is sitting about 50 something, 55. Let's go ahead and run in here. Let's see if the FPS changes at all. I mean, it does look more detailed for sure. And we're getting like 35 FPS with this much stronger of a computer. This is where my confusion starts. This is why I wanted to make this a separate video, because this is kind of nuts. And this really shows how, like, I would have to say unoptimized this game is right now, because we were getting this about same FPS with the minimum specs PC that had much lower specifications than this PC has in it. Let's go in an interior real quick. Let's just go ahead and test that out like we did last time. I guarantee we'll have higher FPS once we get in here. I mean, not real. I mean, yeah, okay, about same as last time, about 10 FPS higher once you go inside. See, you guys, I was expecting that we were gonna get like easily over 60 everywhere. Yeah, see, when we're around people, it's wow. That is something. That is very confusing. Okay, we're back in our starting position here. Let me go ahead and go to settings again, display. Okay, 1920 by 1080. We're gonna keep it on high, but we're gonna go for upscaling. Let's turn FSR. So with FSR2 here, let's do sharpening to like 60 so it doesn't look too sharp. VRS. Sure. And then render resolution, let's do 100. So at 100%, let's see if that changes anything with DLSS on. Because this FSR2 right here now, this is DLSS because of the mod we just did. It should be taking the place of this. So let's go ahead and get out of here. Let's see what it does. Did we gain anything? I guess not, because we didn't lower the render scale. So with that on, okay, DLSS is on, but now we need to lower the render scale, I guess. So let's go ahead and do that down to, let's do what, say like 80 or 85? Let's try that. Let's see how much FPS we can get with that. Okay, we're up at 40 FPS right there. Okay, so really to see much difference with this, do I have to lower it a lot? Let me go ahead and let's check that really quick. So usually I think it defaults like 70 or 75. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go 75. Let's do that. Let's see what we get here. Okay, so we're at 42, 43. So we gained about what, like not even 10 FPS here. And so what does the image quality look like? It's a little, I'm seeing a little bit, it's like grainy, it looks like. Is that the film grain? It might be the film grain. Let me turn that off. Let me mess with that really quick. Let me display the film grain intent. Let's turn that off. I don't like film grain at all. Let's see if that's messing with our stuff. Yeah, I think that's what that is. I don't like film grain at all. Let's turn that off. And so so it still looks good. Everything is definitely readable. You can tell that it'll pop in, you know, but it's not smeared like FSR is. It's definitely a little bit sharp. It's definitely much sharper once you get up close to things. But guys, like I said, at high settings here at 1080p, we're getting pretty much exactly what we are getting with the minimum requirements PC, which is insanely, it's a little bit crazy to think about. Let me go ahead and give you guys the test of like shooting some people. Once we start a fight here, like how much does the FPS drop? 35 or so? Yeah, 38. I mean, it drops it by a few FPS. It's not like a ton, but it's still not like the best gaming experience ever. Like I was expecting we could get to 60, you know? I don't know what's going on here. Maybe we got to adjust our settings and see if maybe lowering a couple of things maybe helps a little bit. Okay, let's lower the graphics quality here to medium. Let's do that. and then let's keep the FSR2 on, and then it immediately just does it at 50. All right, let's try this right here and see what we get. Sharpening, let's bring that back down to 60, about 65 right there. Okay, now let's see what we get. Let's see if that really helps. All right, so this right here on medium, this provides a much more playable looking experience. And remember, we have DLSS on right now. Yeah, yeah, that doesn't look good. You see his face? It's like, it's not super sharp. It's like a little bit, it's almost like it's not fully, you know, fully rendered as sharp as it could be. We're able to hit 60 now, but, and you can see already the game feels a lot smoother. But that just kind of baffles me that going from the minimum requirements PC, which was a much lower end PC than what we're using right now, we are really not seeing that big of an increase. It's crazy. It boggles my mind, you guys, that this is happening, as well as, you know, even having, let's turn FSR off just to show you guys that sorry, DLSS off, but just to show you guys that it's working. Let's turn it off and let's see how much lower it goes. So, because we were able to hit above 50. So with that off, yeah, we're dropping some frames a little bit. We're definitely down to 40 now, rather than being in the 50s. So we dropped about 15 FPS by turning that off or so. The game is definitely looking a bit sharper, in the distance especially. But again, we're now in like the mid 40s, rather than, let's turn DLSS back on again. What were we at? 50? I think we're down to 50%. So you have to put it all the way down to 50%. And then here we go. So render resolution scale 50% with DLSS on. We're at about, what, 55, 58. Image quality, it's okay. Like I said, it's not, I don't think it's as bad as FSR was. FSR was like really smudgy. You could barely see anything. This, at least when you get up close to things, there's definitely a much better level of detail. But you can tell that, you know, it's much lower of a render resolution when we're using DLSS. So kind of crazy. I don't understand how this much better of a PC is not doing as well as you would think. I wonder how good the AMD card would do versus the 2080. I feel like this card should be able to do pretty well. Let's put the render resolution scale to 75. And again, let's try that at medium. And what are we getting here? I mean, that looks a lot better. I actually think this looks way better. Granted, we are getting around 50 FPS now, but I think visually, things look a lot better. And then, of course, you know, because we're dropping below 50 a little bit, I think if we go into an interior, we should be around 60. Yeah, we should be hitting 60 at certain places. Yeah, above 60, 70. Yeah, okay. So in interiors, it's a lot better in certain areas. But then once we see a lot of people, it's going to go back down to like mid 50s, below 50. There you go. All right, you guys, that's it. What can we conclude from these test results here? We can conclude that at 1080p, it looks like even having better hardware doesn't really seem to matter, which is kind of mind-boggling. Usually you would expect that, yeah, we have much better hardware, especially a better graphics card. You would think that the game would just perform better, right? You get more FPS for the better hardware, but in this case, doesn't seem like that. Like we had to actually really play with our settings, and we even had to use DLSS to even get a more, like, what I would consider playable type FPS number. And yeah, I know Bethesda came out and said they wanted to make, for this game, they wanted 30 FPS as their benchmark, but I mean, come on. We've been trying to hit 60 in games with PC gaming for forever. That's been the standard. So, I mean, this PC right here is more along the lines of like your Xbox Series X this time. So I think we should be able to do at 1080p, we should definitely be able to be over 60 FPS all the time. But yeah, so it was pretty disappointing to not see this computer perform at that level. But yeah, let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments below, and what you guys think about it, and what you're doing personally with your game to make it run faster. Like, did you guys install this DLSS mod to give yourself a little bit more FPS? Because I mean, yes, it did actually increase our FPS, and visually, it looks a lot better than what FSR looked like, because to me, FSR in our last testing was basically unplayable. It doesn't look good at all. It just hurts your eyes. It's terrible. So anyway, hopefully you guys enjoyed this little science experiment like the last one. And if you did, make sure you like the video. And also, make sure you get subscribed with those notifications on, because the next video on this, I will be testing this game on my main rig, which has a Ryzen 7 5800X 3D and an RTX 4070 Ti. So we'll actually be able to take advantage of a 40 series card, and we'll also install the DLSS mod on that system and see how much more FPS we're able to get with that configuration. So anyway, that's gonna do it for this one. Hope you guys have an awesome day, and I'll catch you later.